Jai Jinendra, Panch Parmeshti ko Naman. Welcome to my channel Love for Jainism by Neha Gandhi Gill. From Adiraj to Adi Muni to Pratham Aahar, this video takes us through the remarkable sequence of events that followed the Diksha Kalyanak of Adinath Bhagwan right up to the sacred moment of his Pratham Aahar of sugarcane juice on Akshaya Tritiya after 400 days of non-stop fasting. To truly understand the depth of this historic moment, we first need a brief introduction to Bhagwan's life. Let's begin. Bhagwan was born at the end of the third era, Sushma Dushma, in the era of Bhog Bhumi, where wish-fulfilling Kalpavrukshas provided for all human needs. He was the son of King Nabhirai and Queen Marudevi. Named Rishabh after Mata Marudevi's first auspicious dream, that of the bull, with golden Varna of Kashyap Gotra represented by the bull. He was born with three knowledge: Mati Gnan, sensory knowledge; Shruta Gnan, scriptural knowledge; Avadhi Gnan, clairvoyant knowledge. He married Sumangala and Sunanda, becoming the father of 100 sons, most notably the future Chakravarti Bharat, after whom our country India is named, and the mighty Bahubali. He also had two daughters, Brahmi and Sundari. He established the sacred institute of marriage. His Kumar Kaal lasted for 20 lakh purva. As the world's first king, he came from the Ikshwaku dynasty and ruled for 63 lakh purvas. Rishabh Dev was the architect of human society during the great transition from Bhog Bhumi to Karma Bhumi, when people were terrified by hunger, danger, confusion. He guided the society to establish Yug Dharma. He pioneered civilization by establishing the Shat Karmas. Asi, defense; Masi, writing; Krishi, agriculture; Vidya, knowledge; Vanijya, trade; Shilp, arts. He established 5 primary crafts: pottery, carpentry, weaving, barbering, and laundry. Rishabh Dev taught mankind the use of fire and the science of cooking food. He organized settlements, cities and villages, protected towns, designated places for the storage of grain, pot and land towns. He educated his daughters personally, teaching the Brahmi script, written alphabets, to Brahmi, and Anka Vidya, mathematics, to Sundari. He systematized 72 sciences for men and 64 art for women to create a balanced and functional society. He instituted the three Varna system, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudras, based on professional duties, and 4 social divisions: guardsmen, officials, companions, and general population. From guiding humanity's earliest order to shaping systems of governance, he rose as the first lawgiver and the world's first sovereign king. As Adiraj prepared to renounce his throne, the Lokantic Devs of the heaven descended, urging him to establish the path of Dharma. After dividing his kingdom among his 100 sons, he performed Varshidaan, a year-long charity, giving away 1 crore 8 lakh gold coins daily, along with food, clothing, jewels, grains, and cattle. On the 8th day of Chaitra's dark half, after ruling for 63 lakh purvas, King Rishabh Dev travelled to Siddharthvan outside the city of Vinita, today's Ayodhya, in a divine palanquin Sudarshan. Beneath an Ashok tree, after discarding his royal ornaments, he performed the Loch ritual. While Tirthankars usually pluck all their hair in just 5 handfuls, Indra, mesmerized by his beauty, requested him to keep the 5th handful of hair. With this act, the world's first king became its first monk, Adi Muni. He instantly attained the 4th Gnan, Manahaparyav Gnan, the power of reading thoughts. Embracing Panchamahavrats, the great vows, and complete silence till Kevalgyan, he began his Diksha Kal of 1000 years of extreme austerities and deep meditation. He was like a bull, capable of carrying the heavy load of the great vows. The Lord then initiated a strict fast lasting for 3 days. Moved by his renunciation and overwhelmed by their love for Rishabh Dev, 4,000 kings, led by Kacha and Mahakacha, clung to the master like bees to a flower. Driven by emotion, they discarded their kingdoms and families. Declaring, "His path is ours," they joyfully took the vow of initiation, unaware of the hardships ahead. After Diksha, Rishabh Dev began his vihar, moving from place to place, followed by the 4,000 kings. But during his first vihar, there was a crisis. The correct Ahaar Vidhi, method of fault-free alms giving, was not known. Many people remembered him as their glorious king, offered him worldly gifts such as gold, precious jewels, shining ornaments, expensive garments, even horses and elephants. At times, people offered food with devotion, for example, whole fruits, which could not be accepted. While he remained steadfast, his 4,000 companions faltered under extreme hunger. Trapped between their inability to be true Jain monks and their inability to return to royal life, the kings migrated to the deep woods located on the right bank of the river Ganga. They wore tree bark, ate wild roots, tubes, fruits, and grew matted hair. Though they abandoned strict vows, they remained fiercely devoted to the master. Thus, the tradition of forest dwelling tapas was officially born. After a year of silent wandering and fasting, Rishabh Dev reflected deeply. He saw that ordinary humans could not endure such extremes. To save future monks from starvation and broken vows, like the 4,000 kings, he chose to eat. He established pure alms rules, food free from 42 faults, gathered bee like or cow like, that is, taking small amounts from many homes, ensuring no donor is burdened and the monk remains detached. With these sacred rules, the master stepped out to accept alms. Following his decision, the master's wandering brought him to the great city of Gajapur. Also known as Hastinapur, it was the capital of the Kuru kingdom and situated on the banks of the Ganga river. This city was so magnificent, it was considered the beautiful ornament of a whole circle of cities and honor of Bharatvarsh. On the night before the master's arrival in Gajapur, a sequence of highly prophetic dreams was experienced by the three most important men in the city. King Somprab, also called Somayas, who was the son of Bahubali, his son Prince Shreyansh Kumar, and the wealthy merchant Subuddhi. The next morning, these three men gathered in the royal assembly and told each other about their strange visions, but none of them possessed the knowledge to interpret their hidden meanings. Liking the story so far? Then please like, share, and subscribe to my channel Love for Jainism by Neha Gandhi Gill. Let's continue. Prince Shreyansh saw the massive Mount Meru looking entirely dark. He then took pictures of nectar like water and sprinkled the mountain, which instantly made it extremely brilliant. Merchant Subuddhi saw that 1,000 brilliant rays have fallen away from the disk of the sun. He then watched as Prince Shreyansh gathered these rays and replaced them, causing the sun to shine very brightly again. King Somyas saw a single, lone man who was completely surrounded by many aggressive enemies. This lone man, with assistance from Shreyansh, ultimately gained victory over all the enemies. Entering Hastinapur to seek alms, Rishabh Dev walked with majestic grace despite a year-long fast. The citizens were overjoyed to see their former king. But just like everywhere else, they lacked understanding of almsgiving, showering the silent monk with worldly treasures instead of the simple, fault-free food he required. Seeing the master approach, Prince Shreyansh dropped everything, abandoning his shoes and royal umbrella. He sprinted ahead of his guards, running as eagerly as a child. Reaching the Lord, he humbly wiped the dust from the master's feet with his own hair. After circling the Lord 3 times, Shreyansh wept profound tears of pure, overwhelming joy. Captivated by the master's presence, Shreyansh stared in pure joy. But as he noticed the Lord's profound detached posture, a question echoed in his mind. Where have I seen this before? That simple thought unlocked his soul, instantly triggering Jatismaran Gyan, the miraculous memory of his former births. Shreyansh remembered their 8 cosmic births together. Specifically, in their third previous life, the master was Chakravarti Vajranab and Shreyansh his charioteer. Together, they took Diksha under Tirthankar Vajrasen, who was also the father of Vajranab. He remembered Tirthankar Vajrasen uttering a specific prophecy: Vajranab will be the first Tirthankar of Avsarpini Kal. Shreyansh realized that the master standing before him was not just his paternal great grandfather, but the Lord of all the worlds. Through Jatismaran Gyan, Shreyansh remembered the strict rules of how to offer proper alms. As if by destiny, jars of fresh sugarcane juice, also known as Ikshuras, were brought to him at that exact moment. Knowing it was pure and acceptable, he respectfully offered it to the master. After 400 days of unintended fasting, Bhagwan accepted this offering, marking the Pratham Aahar. As Shreyansh poured the offering, a miracle occurred. Even though a massive amount of juice was poured from multiple pitchers, it was perfectly contained within the master's hands. Resting there, the liquid miraculously solidified into a lofty pillar of solid sugar. As celestial beings performed the Pancha Divya, the heavens rained flowers to honor Adi Muni's first Parna. This sacred day, Vaishak Shukla Tritiya, is celebrated as Akshaya Tritiya, symbolizing inexhaustible spiritual merit. Today, because a continuous 400 days fast is nearly impossible, devotees honor this legacy through an alternate fasting cycle known as Varshita, which concludes with Parna on Akshaya Tritiya. Shreyansh's perfect offering did much more than simply break a fast. It officially established the earthly tradition of charitable giving or Daan. This monumental movement, the birth of selfless giving, is forever revered as Daan Tirth Pravartan. News of the fast breaking brought immense joy to the citizens and the forest ascetics. The people marveled at Shreyansh, praising him for succeeding where their worldly riches had failed. Lamenting their lack of spiritual insight, they sought the source of his wisdom. Once Shreyansh revealed his past life memories and the divine dreams, people finally found clarity, returning home deeply satisfied. The three dreams carried a profound shared meaning. Prince Shreyansh dreamt he saw Mount Meru entirely in darkness, but it was made extremely brilliant after he sprinkled it with nectar like water. The dark mountain represented the master who had became emaciated by his year-long unintended fast. Washing it with nectar-like water signified Shreyansh providing fault-free ahar in the form of Ikshuras, thereby breaking his fast and restoring his physical brilliance. Merchant Subuddhi dreamt that 1,000 rays had fallen from the sun. When Prince Shreyansh replaced them, the sun regained its brilliant glow. The sun symbolized the blessed one, and the 1,000 rays represented his omniscience. The falling rays signified how his path to absolute knowledge was injured by the extreme physical toll of his 400-day fast. The offering of sugarcane juice, symbolizing the return of the master's spiritual brilliance on his journey towards Kevalgyan. King Somyas dreamt of a single man completely surrounded by many enemies, who ultimately gained the victory with the assistance of Shreyansh. The lone warrior represented the master himself, and the enemies symbolized the parishahas, the severe hardships of asceticism. This victory signified the victory of the master's ascetic will. By enduring these trials with equanimity, the master conquered the kashayas of anger, pride, deceit, and greed. Prince Shreyansh's offering of Ikshuras provided the essential sustenance that supported the master on his final journey towards Kevalgyan. Prince Shreyansh's knowledge of fault-free Ahaar established the proper Ahaar Vidhi. By restoring this vital knowledge to the Sangha, he ensured that future generations would know how to offer Gochari, pure alms. This allowed the ascetic willpower to prevail for all future sadhus and sadhvis on their path towards moksha. Following monastic rules, the master departed immediately to continue his wanderings. To honor the sacred spot of the fast breaking, Shreyansh constructed a jeweled platform, worshipping it daily as if the Lord were still present. This deep devotion sparkled a tradition. Wherever the Lord later accepted alms, similar memorials were built, becoming universally known as Aditya Peeths. Ahodanam, Ahodanam. This was the story of Pratham Muni's Pratham Aahar. Thank you for watching and learning with me. If you found this video valuable, do like, share and subscribe to my channel Love for Jainism by Neha Gandhi Gill. Your support is invaluable and helps me spread Jain Dharma. Jai Jinendra. If I have knowingly or unknowingly written or said anything in thoughts, words or deed against Vitragsvani, I seek forgiveness. Michhami Dukram.